So you brought up TV news. We got some TV news updates here. MSNBC, major shakeup of their weekend lineup, including the cancellation of Mehdi Hasan's show. Let's put this up on the screen. He confirmed it in a tweet. Yes, the Mehdi Hasan show has ended on Peacock. That's their streaming service, and will be ending on MSNBC next month. Still a few weeks left. Thank you all for watching over the past 3 years. Going forward, I will serve as guest anchor across Prime shows and beyond, and as an on-air political analyst. Goes on to say, thanks for the outpouring of love and support. Thanks, of course, to my team. Humbled and appreciative, not going anywhere, and you'll hear from me lots in 2024. Interesting. So Mehdi is one of 3 Muslim anchors at MSNBC who have come in for quite a bit of scrutiny and criticism because of their dissent in Israel's war on Gaza. We reported this, this happened a while ago at the beginning of the war. Put this up on the screen from Semaphore. All 3 of those Muslim hosts were sidelined one after another after the ADL had criticized them and after they had again expressed sort of dissenting views on the Israeli war on Gaza. MSNBC, they say, has quietly taken 3 of their Muslim broadcasters out of the anchor's chair since Hamas's attack on Israel last Saturday amid America's wave of sympathy for Israeli terror victims. And it also comes immediately after Mehdi did an interview with a Netanyahu spokesperson that, listen, if you guys aren't familiar with him, he's kind of famous for being a really aggressive questioner, grilling people in power. He's done famous interviews with like John Bolton, et cetera. Yes. And so he had one of those interviews with a Netanyahu spokesperson that we actually covered here because it revealed a few new details about what happened and unfolded on October 7th in particular. Here's a little bit of a taste of that.
Have you seen one picture of a single dead Hamas terrorist in the fighting in Gaza? Not one. Is that by accident, or is that because Hamas can control the information?
You asked me a question and you
Gaza.
said you would be brief. I haven't, you're right, but I have seen lots of children with my own lying eyes being pulled from the rubble.
Because they're the pictures Hamas wants you to see. Exactly my point, Mehdi.
They're
the pictures Hamas wants.
But they're also people that your government has killed. You accept that, right? You've killed children, or do you deny that?
No, I do not. I do not. First of all, you don't know how those people died, those children.
Oh, wow.
First of all, we don't want to see a single child killed.
Okay, here's my question for you, Mark. You say, I agree with you. I agree with you. We shouldn't blindly believe anything Hamas says. But why should we believe what your government says either? Your military spokesman on Monday pointed to an Arabic document in the basement of a Gaza hospital and claimed it was a Guardian list on which every terrorist writes his name. But that was false. It was just a calendar with the days of the week on it. Your colleague in the Prime Minister's office, Ophir Gendelman, posted behind-the-scenes footage from a Lebanese short film and claimed it was Palestinians in Gaza faking their own injuries. That tweet is still up a week later. That is endless disinformation from your government, is it not?
So now these clips frequently went viral on Twitter, but his show, like many other MSNBC shows, was not getting, exceptionally high ratings, was not doing all that well in the ratings. And so that's what MSNBC is basically saying is it's a ratings issue, it's a cost-cutting issue. I'll tell you, what I'm hearing from people is, the dissent on Israel is part of the picture, but the bigger picture is that he's also very aggressive on social media in a way that is uncomfortable for NBC executives as well. So do I think that they're sending a bit of a message by canceling Mehdi's show and, so publicly demoting him? Yes. Do I think it's a variety of factors that went into this? Yeah, that's probably true as well.
I think that is true. I will not cry for Mehdi Hasan. I think he is a complete blowhard. He was a Russiagate fanatic whenever he was on his various shows. COVID freak whenever it came to going against the lab leak theory and all of this. I will quote again from my good friend Zed Jelani. Having worked with Mehdi, this is a pattern. He learns very little about a topic, goes 100% full throttle with no nuance. He plays to a partisan crowd and frequently makes elementary errors, like claiming that black people cannot vote in Georgia. Now, that said, I don't support him being canceled for his views on Israel and Gaza. My biggest problem that comes from Mehdi is exactly this, is he is a fundamentalist in everything that he believes. Now, is he a talented interviewer? Yes, but there's also a very famous clip that people can go and can watch of him talking about his, at that time, fundamentalist Islamic views and how he viewed other people. Has he evolved or not? I have no idea, but it just is demonstrative of the way that he carries himself in public. And what comes and hits for me was a video here that he did with Matt Taibbi on the Twitter files where he attempted to go after him. Let's take a listen.
Your own words, Matt. You crossed that line and Musk has you. Those are your words.
The hilarity of this coming from MSNBC, which did nothing but vomit up fake Russiagate stories that came straight from the FBI for 6 consecutive years that you guys still haven't apologized for.
I wasn't there in that period, so I've got nothing to apologize. I'm asking you your words.
So, Krystal, as I understand it, Ayman, how do you say it? Ayman?
Ayman.
Ayman will continue to be on the air. He will, I think, he'll still have a prominent role at the network. I think he's a far more responsible person whenever it comes to this conflict. And I understand, look, you can think he's done a good job on Gaza and all of that, but he is not a person that I would want on my side. Even in terms of debating and holding up the record of the Biden administration, he's pushed some of the most ridiculous propaganda. So, I don't know. This is not somebody who I think should be spoken up for as some sort of like paragon of being truly independent. I think on Gaza and on Israel specifically, yes, it's an issue where he may be, quote unquote, courageous whenever it comes to his colleagues. Although I guess the only fair rebuttal is that he's no worse than many of his other MSNBC
Well, here's
colleagues.
the thing, are we better off with Mehdi Hasan on MSNBC or not? And I think undoubtedly the aspect of the job of interviewing powerful people and actually challenging them, he is very good at. He is very good at. And I do think that that is a major part of the reason, and the fact that those clips of him pushing powerful people go viral on Twitter is a major part of the reason that he's being canceled. And it's not just on Israel and Palestine. I went back, I actually just Googled like Mehdi grills on YouTube.
Yeah, that's his thing.
Because that's his thing.
Yeah.
He grilled John Bolton on Iraq and on war crimes. He grilled the an American U.S. ambassador on hypocrisy with regards to war crimes in Yemen. He grilled Cedric Richmond, a Biden aide, on healthcare failures. He grilled Bernie on Build Back Better. He stood up for Julian Assange. Very unusual in the cable news landscape. He pressed Karine Jean-Pierre over Biden administration failures. He pressed one of those Lincoln Project ghouls about their failures as well. He criticized identity politics of hiring Lloyd Austin as the Secretary of Defense after he had served on the Raytheon as a board member. So I'm not saying I agree with Mehdi on everything. Mehdi and I have had plenty of differences and have many disagreements that he would attest to as well. But is he being fired because he's bad at the job? No. He's being fired because of the part of the job that he's actually good at, and also because he's apparently not boring enough on Twitter. Now, they're using Ayman, who I have known for a long time and respect very much as a journalist, and especially on Israel and Palestine, where he has a depth of knowledge. They're using him to basically be like, see, it's not about the fact that he's Muslim. But do you don't think that people get the message about how loud and aggressive you're allowed to be, how far out of line you're allowed to step, especially when you're not a Rachel Maddow or you're not like their #1 star or ratings getter? People are definitely getting that message loud and clear. And, you know, it also isn't lost on me that you had that ADL dude go on Morning Joe and accuse him and Ayman and Ali Velshi of like Hamas talking points in this absolutely outrageous thing. So I think that they felt like they needed to do something to appease people who were accusing them of being like Hamas propagandists.
I think that's fair. I guess it's just, you know what I think the fundamental difference is that he is somebody who assumes the absolute worst fate of every single person who does not agree with him. That has
not been my experience, because Mehdi has disagreed with me on Twitter and said it in an actually very respectful way.
Plus, he agrees with a lot of.
No, but especially it was on, you know, this fraught thing about like, you know, what was the thing that people economic insecurity that this was part of electing Trump, and he very much disagreed with that. He was like, no, it's the racism, and I'm like, listen, it's complex, and you can't look at it economics and say, and that's a very fraught issue, and he disagreed with me very respectfully without attacking my personal character.
My experience
so that hasn't been my experience with
the
him
opposite,
whatsoever.
where I have basically had to mute him because he constantly blew up me and Zed for actually on the same topic. So I think his orientation on whether you're a fellow liberal or like a fellow traveler or somebody who's opposed to him, and especially the type of what I perceive as identity politics and Islamism that he likes to justify and push here in America, that stuff drives me absolutely crazy.
Give me an example.
I mean, I know the video that he is the video that shows him virally. Okay, who cares from how long ago? He's never apologized.
Was it on MSNBC?
No.
No, so it has nothing to do with this cancellation.
Saying this is about the character, about the person who we're disagreeing with. I'm pretty sure the disagreement him and I had was even before he was on MSNBC. But my point that remains here is about the way that I think that he has approached most of his detractors, including people like Zed, who actually also had to block him. So look, maybe all of this is a little bit too personal, but some of what Glenn Greenwald has brought up, let's go ahead and put this up there, please, up on the screen, is, and he makes this point, I think what you're saying. MSNBC anonymously is denying that Mehdi's criticism of Israel had anything to do with his firing, insisting instead that it was due to his almost invisible ratings, and Mehdi will not say. Go to the next part, and this is where I'm curious what you think. He says, it could be anything. One would expect a journalist to provide the explanation, but I guess Mehdi doesn't want to anger the corporate bosses, so he is staying quiet, and then surmises that people with self-respect would quit. So what is it like in this situation, having worked inside the beast, where, like, what are the strictures that he would have around him, where it, like, what does his non-compete look like? What is he allowed to do? What is he allowed to say?
I mean, he definitely, if he was going to speak out and quit right now, he would definitely have, at the very least, a legal fight on his hands.
Okay.
So it's not just about, like, I mean, listen, I think it's very difficult to stay if he's indeed been canceled for effectively doing his job well. I do think that that is a difficult thing. I do think Mehdi, you know, he was at The Intercept, then he moved over to MSNBC. I think he wants to be in mainstream press, and so that may factor into his decision making too. I don't know, but yeah, I think they put you in a bind to make it so that it is very difficult to speak out against them. If you left, you'd have this long non-compete, or you couldn't do anything for some period of time, or, like I said, you have this huge legal battle on your hands. And, you know, Tucker basically told Fox News to shove it, but Tucker also has a lot more money, is a lot more famous.
I support Mehdi going independent. I think his non-competes are BS. Even if I don't like the guy, I think it's crazy that if he was canceled for this particular reason. But it also is a little bit of nature of the beast in terms of when you're working for this organization.
You know what I would say is, ironically, I actually think that Mehdi would do a lot better independent.
No question.
Because
totally right.
The things he's doing at MSNBC, like, the MSNBC audience is not all that interested in, like, holding Biden officials to account or standing up for Julian Assange. So in that way, he may have been an awkward fit there, just based on this sort of small sycophantic audience that they've cultivated. And his clips do routinely go viral online.
True.
So he's sort of better at that game than he is necessarily at the cable news game. So I think if he did step out on his own, I think he could be successful.
I think that maybe the reason why is, as you said, he's famous for interviews, but Karine Jean-Pierre is not going on an independent YouTube
That's right.
show. So,
that's exactly right.
Or the Israeli president's not going. Listen, we tried. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So if he wants to remain famous for his interviews and all of that, it is going to be tough. But I mean, I guess that just comes down to the nature of the beast for what he's doing. This, by the way, is why cable is flawed and also an inherently bad model.
Yes. Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.